Pop in, say hi. If you've never come to one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And here on Sunday nights, we kind of get together, hang out, share our week, keep company sometimes in where we don't hang out socially, because lots of times we get so involved in what we're doing. Sometimes it's in putting the roof over our head. Sometimes it's in paying attention to things that happen in our lives or happen in the lives of the people that we care about, that we end up jumping in and finding ourselves busy in the moment. And that is sometimes a good thing, right? We we knock off the kids on the video games these days. Sometimes, especially in my generation growing up, these were not things that we compulsed about. We spent a lot of time in the outdoors and Mother Nature and hanging out with our friends in those social activities that made it possible for us to want to pursue relationships. And we're moving into a day and age where we are learning something different. I'm not going to say we are losing those skills. Sometimes it's just in the remembrance of what we don't have, right? Sometimes it's in that lonely moments, right? That we find that we actually do need those social connections. And this is what Sunday nights here on this live show that I've been doing for years now. And I have been able, being an introvert, being somebody who, right, when that my week is over at my job, and I'm going to say hi, Andrew, and hi, anybody out there who's going to hang out with us today. And whether or not you hang out in the backgrounds and just kind of feel us out, or if you want to kind of jump in and join the crew here. Hello, Melvin. Hello, Melvin. For those of you who don't know, I am in my last week of giving my notice in the job that puts the roof over my head. I have felt the draw and the need to move, right? To bring a big change into my life. But sometimes when you don't have that sureness underneath you, right? Sometimes in that hesitancy of wanting to make any kind of movement at all, that we find ourselves just stalling out and just staying where we are, right? I have to be that evidence for other people who are trying to make those big moves in their lives, and whether they're, right, 15, 20, 30, or 60. Sometimes we are called to, and it's not blow up our own lives, but sometimes it's to initiate the change that we know we're supposed to be making, right? Or we should be making. And we find in that hesitancy to rock the boat, right? To give up the remote control and the comfy couch, those video games that the kids get so involved in. But I believe that sometimes we are drawn to whatever is going to take that pain away, right? So that we don't pay attention to what we need to be paying attention to. And I think sometimes, these video games that the kids get so involved with, it's to help to take them away from the hairy, scary, right? The crazy town of the world, or be someplace where they have a sense of control, where in their own lives they don't have that sense. I know, I get it. I grew up well into my adulthood not believing I had any control at all in my life. And just in the past half a dozen years, to be able to create a little semblance of a little life for myself, a life that I feel like I'm included, right? I feel like I belong, right? That I feel that I am part of a community. If you guys find I'm having any issues with the sound, and to get to it, where is my remote? Where's my remote? My lighting. Oh my goodness. I have misplaced things as usual. This is something for people with ADHD or issues of being a little bit scrambled brain sometimes, that when I'm putting things away, when a new item comes into my house, that's why we find lots of people, they don't have a lot of items in their house. And you could see I'm very eclectic, right? That I do love my decor, but my conversation pieces, the things that I love, if they're not in presentation, if they're not in the same spot all the time, I will forget they even exist in my life. And then one day I'll go, "Oh, where's so and so? I remember when I bought that." Or "Oh my goodness, I haven't seen that for a while. Where is it?" Right? And I do have a few things. There's a special crystal that's somewheres in my apartment, but I have no idea where it is. And it's just going to be such an exciting day, probably be on moving day, that I'll come across it and I'll be so excited. But I notice it's not around because it's not in the spot that it's supposed to be. Everything that comes into my house, I mentally say to myself, if I were to be looking for this, where would it be? This, my remote control for my lights, right? For my lights, that I should have discovered that I had years ago, because I've been doing these lives here for years and only have recently thought, oh my goodness, there's my lighting for my lives, right? But I do need my remote control to do that. And when it's not sitting in the place that I designated it to be when I was looking for it, I can find that frustrating, because I tend to go into those panic modes. Did I throw it in the garbage? Did I lose it forever until moving day? Like that crystal that I notice is not around. Okay, let's come into the comments. Let's see who's here. Oh, Owen's here. Oh, Dave's here too. Hi, Dave. The only reason that I stayed with transit for 28 years was for the pension. The last few years were not good there. I quit at 52, short of the really. So you didn't get your pension, Melvin. Oh my goodness. And in the end, do you wish you had maybe left a little bit earlier to pursue the things that you loved or really wanted? Being there only for the pension, oh my goodness, that would have been a little bit um, depressing for me, right? That I only had a few years to go and I would have had my full pension. But again, Melvin, I don't know what I'm talking about, because I've just done this exact same thing at my job. I've quit my job a year before my pension kicks in. And in actuality, I think it's about a year and 4 months or a year and 6 months before my pension kicks in. So for the next year and a half, maybe I was hanging with the entrepreneurs for a reason, you guys. Maybe I'm going to start up business for myself and not looking to be a millionaire. My hair is kind of driving me a little bonkers. I think I put my ponytail a little bit crooked on my head. And that's because I was feeling like, I don't know what I was feeling like today. I was thinking, I've quit my job. I've given in my notice. At the end of this week, technically I will not have a job, right? I'm going to take a couple of weeks at the very least to get my head sorted, get my body rest it up, get those fluids into me because, I was up with the Charlie horses and the pins and needles last night because I let myself get dehydrated because even though I am having an amazing week, I didn't expect this. When I gave my notice a week ago at this job, I thought it was just going to be, the worst 2 weeks ever, that it was going to be so stressful, that there might be some bad feelings. And at the same time, right, I've made friends where I work and, good friends. Like, but again, being an introvert, I'm not hanging out with them after work. We're not going out for dinner and movies and phoning each other with conversations. These are work relationships, but they're friendships nonetheless, right? Because they've impacted my life. Like you guys have impacted my life. And for some of you I've met, some of you I've not met. But it makes you no less of friends because we've been spending so much time together. And so I was kind of feeling bad, right? I was, oh my goodness, like my heart was just bursting with some of these goodbyes that I've had the privilege and the opportunity, because that's what it was this week, to be able to say goodbye to people that I've been taking care of for the past 5 years, right? I've been at my job for almost 5 years. And in that time, I've made lots of friends, lots of friends. And yet I don't hang out with any of them. I'm not phoning them and having conversations, though this week I took a few phone numbers just to keep in touch, right? Just because, you know, some of these people are thrifters, some of these people are resellers that put a roof over their head, right? In the passion of finding and selling secondhand items. It's fun. It really is lots of fun. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to maybe hang out with these people that I've gotten to know? I'm not going to have anything really, truly set and plans to do besides, well, I do. I've got a list I got to make. I've got a spring closet to put out. I've got an air conditioner to put in, and that's going to take me time taping that into the window, right? I've got tons of stuff to pull out of my walk-in closet because I want to put a package together for camping, because a lot of my camping gear has been replaced. So, being the entrepreneur that I am, I'm going to put a package together and see if I can get a few $100s for my old camping gear that I will never use again. But it's a great starter for somebody else, or, right, some guy who wants to impress his girlfriend that he's a big camper and, right, he just doesn't have any gear. And it will be very, very helpful. And I know I can put a package together. And then I have other things that I just want to send them on their way because, working in the store that I didn't really have an opportunity truly, right, to be a reseller, right, to sell my items. It's a conflict of interest, number one, with the organization that I was working with, right, that I couldn't sell stuff. But naturally, overgrowing the things that I had purchased, right? Having the taste of my clothes change so many times. I'm looking at my clothes and saying, oh my goodness, I'm probably never going to wear this again. I loved it when I bought it, but I'm probably never going to wear this again. It could be donated and moved along. And it's going to be fun to go through my closet this year and really thin out and take a look at some of those things that I really do love, right? And probably wear more pink this summer. I'm really, right, really loving the pink. I'm really loving the greens, and I've got a lot of color in my closet, right? It's time to let the old go, right? Make those choices for myself before the choices made for me, and being frustrated at not being able to get a new shirt in the closet, or my clothes ending up on the floor, not being able to make a easy decision on what to wear for the day because I've got so many choices. I don't need so many choices. I need good choices, not lots of choices. Okay, let me have a sip of my coffee. Ah, yeah, that tastes good. Oh, to 50. You retired before 55 years old, Melvin? Is that what you're saying? You retired before 55 years old? Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, so I only retired a year. I'm not even sure if I'm retiring. Well, for sure I'm not retiring. Got to put a roof over my head. I got a year and a half before the pension comes in. And even if the pension comes in, right? Like Melvin, I got no extra pension coming in. I just get that old age pension and my CCP contribution, right? And I have worked my entire life, but that's not much either, right? That's just going to be enough to get me by. Well, I have plans, I have goals, right? I have provincial parks to visit, state parks to visit, beautiful landscapes, wonderful adventures, seminars and workshops and things that I want to do, right? But that means that I do have to stay active. Like I have to stay active these next couple of weeks. I'm going to have to keep that momentum going because I'm not going to have my job to ground me, and I'm just going to be looking, waiting for direction and answers, and I'm just going to be driving myself crazy, right? Looking for the answers when I know I should just really be relaxing and enjoying that little bit of time of recuperating, regrouping, right? Making some decisions for myself where I want to go, and also at the same time the opportunities. But I sure have been having the most amazing week at work. The kindnesses of my customers over the year. Oh my goodness. Everybody's feeding me. Number one, every time I turn around, somebody's got an offering of some kind of treat. I tried Turkish desserts this week for the first time. They were very, very, very sweet. But to actually have imported dates, and I love dates, but I don't normally eat the dates by themselves. They're usually like in a date square or in my cookies or my biscuits or something, right? But to be able to try new things, that was kind of sweet and was unexpected, right? To turn around and have somebody say, "Oh, we're going to miss you. Here you go, Cindy. Try this." My husband is right. Her husband was a pastry chef, so these were desserts that he specially made for me. Had another customer come in, and he knows I collect the Ice Age movies. You can see them. You can see them behind me right here, right? These are all my Ice Age movies, and I've been waiting for them because I only buy secondhand and accept gifts, right? So I've been waiting for these Ice Age movies to come in through work, and they haven't been coming in through work. But one of my customers who comes in to pick movies, we've gotten into the conversation of favorite movies and stuff, and he knows I love the Ice Ages, and he asked me if I'd seen a movie, and I says, "I don't think I have that one." He asked me if I had that Ice Age. I says, "No, I don't think I have that one." And then he picked up his purchases and his movies for the weekend, and then he left, and an hour later he had walked all the way, and he said, "Well, it's an elderly gentleman too. So nice. Come in a few times a week. We have the best conversations. And look what he got me, right? For Easter, the Great Eggscapade, right? There's Scrat. He's my favorite character in the Ice Age sagas. And yeah, I don't have the fifth and sixth installment of these, but I have, right, all these little bonus features that come out. I grab them, and right, whenever the movies come out, right, Ice Age is an amazing moral story because it's how we are going to move forward in the future. Not to say we're going into an ice age, but we might. But it's in those difficult times. It's in those right, those catastrophes in our lives that we get to appreciate the characters around us, right? Understanding it takes all kinds to make the world. And in this movie, Ice Age, all the characters are different. They're different. There's right mammoths and saber tooth tigers, like they're right. And Scrat, I guess he's a version of some kind of varmint, like a squirrel or something like that, right? Maybe a fox. Right? Prehistoric. It's supposed to be prehistoric. But yeah, each one is a character, but each one plays its role in its support of the whole band, because that's what they are. They're a band of brothers, even though they are so different from each other. And it's what I love. It's what I love so much about this movie and this saga, right? That when I say never deny your own, it right? Because in the end, that's all you've got, right? That's their family. Look how different each one of them are. Yeah. And they don't deny their own, right? They'll even risk their lives for each other. Yeah. My favorite, my favorite movies of all time. Right. I love the cartoon movies, right? I am a child at heart. I grew up on Disney. In fact, the television was my babysitter growing up. But I think for a lot of these 70s kids, 60s and 70s kids, we were the first, right? My mother and father both worked. And they said turn on the TV and we would just be glued to the TV. We couldn't get in trouble, right? Because we weren't going to risk missing out on a cartoon or a favorite movie. And I had my favorite movies. I loved Highlander. Highlander is my one of my favorite movies. Another one was Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman, Papillion. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. I just love that movie. But they make really, really great movies. I did pick up a movie this week, you guys, for the next couple of weeks. I might really come offline and really do some recuperating. I haven't watched a movie in over a year. Maybe I'll watch a movie. I picked up a movie. I can't remember the title of it. It looked interesting, but I've got a little box here that's got about 6 or 7 movies I haven't seen yet either. So I got a nice selection to watch a couple of movies if I want to. I'm going to go for some walks. I'm going to spend some time with my sisters, make sure everybody is doing good. My sister's out of the hospital, thank goodness, right? Other members or everything seems to be settling down in a way, right? Topsy turvy. It's not to say it's not going to go back to being topsy turvy, but probably will, right? But in the moment, it is the calmness in the storm. Isn't that funny to say that in a week I'm not even going to have a job, right, to put a roof over my head, and I'm feeling pretty calm. But wasn't that nice of him to grab me that movie? But also again, oh my goodness, people. I had another gentleman. There's a fancy chocolate shop on Academy. I've driven by it, but I would never go inside there because it would just be so expensive. It's like a fancy chocolate shop. And again, I'm not supposed to be eating candy. As of late, I have been eating a little bit of candy, but in those coping mechanisms and knowing, right, that I can get off the candy right away, right? And I will, but in the moment, I'm back on the candy. And I gave up candy for, 15, 20 years, you guys. And that was one of the best decisions I ever did because I couldn't stay on a diet. I couldn't be totally restricted to myself, but there were things that I could alleviate, right? Like I gave up bread for a few years. I didn't eat any bread at all. I gave up peanut butter and I still give up. I'm looking at my jar of peanut butter here. I've given up peanut butter periodically and gone great periods of time without the peanut butter, right? Because the lectins in the peanut butter are not good for me. I get inflammation in my body when I have issues. I know it's because I'm digging into the peanut butter, right? And also, it's a good protein for me. It's easy to digest, and I'm not a big meat eater, right? A lot of my meat is processed. I don't want to know that it's meat, and how can you help it, right? And I've been that way my entire life. I used to drive my family crazy with my pickiness when it comes to meat, but I do eat meat and I do enjoy like hamburgers and right? I just recently got back on the hot dogs. I gave up hot dogs for a few months too because I got really sick for a couple of days. If you guys remember, I got really sick a couple of, but the only thing I had eaten in that span that I got sick were the wieners. So I wasn't able to bring myself to eat wieners. But this one of my regular customers brought me in a box of those fancy. It must have cost him a fortune. It wasn't a big box, but oh my goodness, like he hand picked each one of the chocolates. I could just imagine him going into there and saying, "I'd like a little box of chocolates for la di da," right? And then him actually picking each chocolate for me. Maybe he said, "You pick the chocolates," to the lady, right? But oh my goodness, the chocolates were so good. I never had fancy candy. As close to the fancy chocolates that I've ever had were the Quality Streets. And Quality Streets are pretty nice chocolates. And the Morden chocolates are pretty nice too. But yeah, to have fancy chocolates given to me as a gift, I thought that was really sweet. When he gave me the bag, and it was all had like little tissue in the bag and everything, and he says, and he gave me the, take care of yourself, and was so amazing to have you around. I got so many of those conversations this week. Oh, I don't know how many times I cried this week. These guys just touched my heart so much. And even the company that I work for, to give me that opportunity to properly say goodbye to my community, because that was my community. I was the front girl. I built all those relationships, and I passed those relationships on to the people I work with, right? Who got to know these customers too, that right, that maybe I took the first step in getting to know. And it took me a long time. I was terrible with names, right? I'm terrible with faces. But I did it. And we built this amazing, well, community in this job that put the roof over my head. And it was really sad. It is really sad. It's not just scary, but it's really sad to leave my community, to leave my friends, my customers, right? I'm not even looking at it as the company, right? I'm sad that I'm leaving the company, but at the same time, I'm excited to leave the company because that means I'm moving forward, and I initiated that change, right? I didn't wait for other parties and other characters to, right, find an opportunity or to instigate or blow something up bigger than what it was meant to be. Not that that was going on, but I'm just as an example. I knew the change was coming in, and I knew if I didn't make that choice, if I didn't initiate and bring in that change myself, what that change was, I don't know what that change was. I just knew that I had to get out of there, that it was time for me to move. And I'm having a beautiful week. I had a beautiful week with all my customers, and I got to say goodbye to so many, and it's not going to be a big surprise. And I won't be driving my customer or my bosses crazy at work next week when everybody comes in and goes, "Where's Cindy? Where's Cindy?" And they have to tell them I quit and they don't know what's going on, and they have a moment and everybody's agitated because nobody can get over Cindy, right? Not puffing my own horn, but I know, and I have that understanding of my contribution to that company, and I know the impact that it's going to make in me leaving. My absence is going to be the evidence. It has to be the evidence. And it was the perfect opportunity to me for me to make that change in my life too. There's an opportunity possibly to put a roof over my head in my conversations, in my ability to be able to say goodbye to my regular customers. You never know what opportunity or offerings will come through that. Maybe somebody's had their eye on my customer service for a very long time, and they said, "Oh my goodness, if Cindy ever comes available, she's coming to work for me," right? But never said anything because they could see how much I loved my job, because I always expressed how much I loved my job, right? It's not too often people get to leave a job that they love. I loved my job. Was it the be all to end all? No, right? The job that puts a roof over my head could be so much more exciting, so much more adventure, so much more full of meaning, right? And influence, right? In the evidence that it can be done. I started kind of late, you guys. Right? And I'm making these changes. I'm throwing the wrench right into my own engine, and I'm riding those waves. Right? I have no idea what's gonna come of all of this, but I'm riding those waves, and you guys are gonna come along with me, being the good friends that you are. You guys would want to know what happened, see how I land in all of this. Okay. Um, Going backwards a little bit because you guys got ahead of me. Melvin says he learns something new every day. Melvin, it's the only way to learn something new every day, something valuable. You know, for me, when I look at things to learn, I tend to look at survival, number one, because I do believe we're in the beginning stages of our evolution, in the next stage that we're moving into, and some of us recognize that we are in the lessons and we have the opportunity and the potential to move forward, right? So it's building up that resilience, understanding not everybody is going to move forward, and how we're going to move forward. Well, that's going to be pretty unsettling, isn't it? Because that's a big, right, next stage of evolution. How many times has this world almost been wiped out? They say 5 or 6 times, right? That it almost has. We're not even close to being done. I'm not worried about it because my life is right now, right? But those lessons that I take isn't that survival to understand. It's just like right now, but still prepare for the future. Still learn for the future. Still learn for your future, like those other parts of you that, right, may or may not be coming back. And wouldn't it be amazing that they come back into something a little bit more accepting and understanding of what they're up to and what they are, right? I have no idea, right? And sometimes I get it that I am my own instigator in not getting close to that, but I'm not feeling that I have to, right? That I feel like I'm listening, right? And I may not be catching absolutely everything, but I'm listening and I'm initiating change for myself, understanding that, right? If I make those decisions won't be made for me. And whether or not I'm making good decisions or not, right? We'll wait to see. Okay. Let's come down here. Oh, that's so awesome. It's a guy's night here. Um, Melvin says, I see carbon tax. Carney won the Liberal election. Canada is truly on the way to being screwed now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really follow the politics. I have been paying a little bit attention to Trudeau and Trump, just in those relationships, and Musk, obviously, right? And the relationships that kind of float around all of them, and what they got their fingers in, and what they're up to. But like I said, like those video games, sometimes we're all just kind of focused on our own thing. And I know Melvin likes the politics, so we know what Melvin is focusing on. And I am grateful that I have my friend Melvin to keep me in line and keep me updated when we're about to get screwed. When we're about to get screwed. Right? But that's all good. I'm perfectly good with that, because that makes it so I can go off and I can do my thing. Right? Melvin will give me the heads up if it's time to, right, build the bomb shelter or protect our border. I don't know. I am non confrontational all the way around. Everything I do, everything about me is about non-violence. Being a child of traumatic and dynamic and complex, right? Understandings that I don't want anything to do with aggression or manipulation or those covert games that people play with each other, probably because they're bored and got nothing better to do, but they do have something better to do, right? Yeah, I'll stay in my own lane. I'll stay on my own lane, and I'll just trust that my friend Melvin will get the information to me if I need it to be uh divvied out, right? Because I do, because if it's curious, right? They made me nervous over the elections. I had to kind of take a peek, and I don't watch the news, you guys, but I had to take a peek to see what was going on, what was getting everybody all up in an uproar and everything, right? Um, all I know about the carbon tax is I get a little check periodically from the government to offset, right, the cost of the carbon tax, right? Um, Andrew says he watched a lot of TV growing up. After supper, we watched TV until going to bed with plenty of TV at other times. Yeah, tons of TV, right? And even not even just the TV, but the Saturday matinees. Oh my goodness, we'd all be at the theater standing in line. By 11 o'clock, the movies were rolling, and those movies would roll until, I don't know, we get 3 or 4 movies in a Saturday matinee. Yeah. It was a good way that my dad could get rest because, in between seasons and fishing, he would drive cab, and because his cabs, he drove them at night, that's where the money was, that he would sleep during the day. And if he had all his kids out of the house, he'd probably have a pretty good sleepy. So it was nothing for him to part with a few dollars to send his kids off to the movies on Saturdays. But because both of my parents worked too, my dad slept all day. We would be in front of the TV watching TV, and we would be good. Then we wouldn't be yelling and fighting with each other, right? Or we'd be off with our friends and stuff, adventuring and playing, because in those days we didn't have Nintendo and three PS360s and stuff like that. We didn't have that stuff, right? And I know people even my own age who love the video games because I sell them at work. Right? Those video games are for everybody. Everybody gets immersed in them. Just for me, it wasn't. Even my whole family loved video games, but it just was not my thing. But I did love TV, right? And I did love movies, right? I loved musicals. I loved the black and white films. I loved the Bible movies, the Ten Commandments and Spartacus and Cleopatra, right? Ben-Hur. Yeah, I loved all of them. Oh my goodness, Andrew, Dark Shadows. I love Dark Shadows. They weren't on for very long. I think I was about maybe 14 or 15 years old when they took Dark Shadows off television, and they replaced it with Young and the Restless, which was a soap opera. But Dark Shadows was a soap opera too, right? But it was more of a dark-sided vampire kind of soap opera. But I remember Dark Shadows, Andrew. Oh, Gilligan's Island. Yeah. Oh, and you got me on that one. I loved Gilligan's Island. I loved Gilligan's Island. I Dream of Jeannie. They had great television shows, didn't they? In the 70s and 80s. They had some great television shows. Now the television shows are like epic movies all in themselves, or epic sagas, because they continue from one week to the next. Yeah, but I haven't watched any TV. In fact, I haven't even watched movies, and I've been collecting these movies. I got about 6 movies here. Oh, more than 6 movies now, because they're periodically I'll buy a movie. But I haven't watched any because when I'm sitting here, I want to take in lessons. I want to see what my peers are doing, or one of those thought leaders that I'm taking lessons from, like what they're up to. I'm not looking at I have a DVD player sitting right here. I would just play it on my computer monitor. Let's see what I got. Look at all these movies. I got this one. I got um Midway. I don't know anything about it. It just caught my eye at work. I have no idea even what it's about. It looks like it's a war movie. I've got I can only imagine. I have no idea what this movie's all about. It caught my attention. If you guys have seen any of these movies, let me know, because I picked them out personally because I said, "Oh, I'm going to have a movie day and I'm going to watch movies." I suspect I grabbed this movie because of Dennis Quaid. I really love Dennis Quaid as an actor. This one here, Concussion Commotion, with Will Smith. Uh, I know this story because it was on the news. It was pretty big news, right? And that's about the football players, right? And how they have brain damage and they got spots on their brains because of getting all these concussions and stuff when they're out in the field. Got this one, Age of Adeline. I've had this one for, oh my goodness, almost 2 years. I haven't even watched it yet. Oh my god. Oh, one of my favorite movies of all time. Talk about favorite movies of all time. I bawled my eyes out on this one. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Have you guys seen this one, Wally? Oh, maybe I'll watch this one and then no, I don't want to watch anything sad in the next few days. This is evolutionary, isn't it? Right? If you guys have seen this movie, yeah, I think I'm going to watch this movie in the next one. Oh, this one here, right? Franklin D. Roosevelt. I truly admired both of the Roosevelts, Eleanor Roosevelt and her husband. And they weren't perfect. I do believe he actually had an affair with his secretary, and he made his secretary and his wife fight for him to decide which one he was going to stay with. Oh, right? So they weren't perfect, but oh, they were so smart and they did so much good. And the fact is, Eleanor Roosevelt was the one who inspired him to even run for president. So I wanted to watch this. I wanted to watch this movie. And then I have Interstellar. I don't know anything about these movies. See, these movies are probably a lot more recent since I've not watched since I got rid of my television, right? And I would have watched these. I used to manage a video store, so I used to get to watch the movies before they even came out. That was a good job. I really liked working in a video store. And so my love for movies is right. It's always been there, but I have not watched a movie in so long. Right? Maybe this is an indicator. Maybe tomorrow, while I was thinking tomorrow, I might go outside, get some fresh air. Spring is here, you guys. It was sunny today. It was +4. I know it's not super warm, but it's enough to get the snow melting. Plus, anything plus will get the snow melting here. And that's what we want to do. We want to get into spring and we want to initiate change, something fresh, something new, right? Maybe all of us can set a little goal, right, for the next coming months or for the next year, just to pick something, not right, just to clean a closet, but something big, something substantial. I'm still working on the vehicle, you guys. It's still the goal, right? Whether or not I'll be able to do that, right? I might have to use those funds to put a roof over my head. in the moment, I think I'm okay for a couple of months. I won't have to touch any of that money. If I have to, I will. And there's still that opportunity, right? That an opportunity will come across my path and I'll go off and I'll do something. And it might be a job. I doubt it. I really loved my job. It was lots of fun. So if I pick up a job, it's probably only going to be for a couple of days because I want to apply myself in my brand, right? But at the same time, what that job will be, I don't know. I never thought that the job I had right now would afford me something that I could learn, but I really learned a lot. I just didn't realize that that was possibly a path that I might be going down. I learned a lot about antiques and collectibles and the value of things. I learned a lot about building the client and building on those customer relationships that in the end is what puts the roof over our head, right? In the groups that I hang out with the entrepreneurs that I hang out with. And I question myself, why am I hanging out with the entrepreneurs? Well, maybe this is why I'm hanging out with the entrepreneurs, because I'm about to go and work for myself. Maybe I'll be a reseller. Maybe I'll take a stall at the flea market, right? Build myself a name, build on some relationships, right? Start a store, get a storefront, set my brand up, PrairieDodgers, and set it up for sale, right? Not setting Cindy up for sale. Cindy will still be around in what I do, right? But set my brand up in a way that it might benefit me in my retirement. That, some of those dreams that I'm still dreaming, I'm not stopping to dream, those goals that I'm setting for myself, and I'm still, right? It looks different. The way it's playing out is different, but I'm still going to shoot for them. So we'll see. We'll see where this all takes me. I have no idea. I'm just grateful that I'm able to say goodbye to my customers at work. It's pretty amazing that, I've been able to build these relationships over the course of the 5 years. I've never had a job where I've been able to have that opportunity to spend 2 weeks with my customers in that process of exiting my job, right? Lots of times it wasn't take this job and it wasn't right? There were some jobs that did come to that abrupt end, but lots of times there were opportunities for me to leave early or, right? Sometimes there were 2 weeks pay in lieu of notice where I did end up just kind of, right, disappearing off the face of the earth within those jobs. And that's not the way that this one is playing out. I'm pretty proud of, well, proud that I've been taking in my lessons because that's what it was. It's the lessons. That optimism, that that understanding that everything is going to be okay, understanding that I can make it easy on myself, make it easy on the company that I work for, make it easy for my customers just to be able to, right, be comfortable with that movement that I'm making, right? And not be so stressed out, not be worried, right? Because for the next 2 weeks, we're going to relax, we're going to unwind, and it will come to me. It will just come to me, and I will know after a couple of weeks or after my time of rest, right? What we're going to do. Yeah. But today, oh my goodness. I was feeling it's not to say the stress isn't there, you guys. The stress is there. It's very, very every day I go in there and think, oh, this is too amazing to be true that I'm not going to be able to make it the whole week without something blowing up in my face or some customer blowing something up my face or right. I have no idea, but something and nothing. And I only have two more shifts left. I'm off for the next few days now. And then I go back for a couple of more days and that's it. We are done. I may go back possibly to help on dollar days, I may go back on those busier days because I know I was the only one that was properly run them, right? It's my forte. I work my best when that pressure is on. And I've done so many of them that, right, they become a little bit easier. And if I have people at least that can follow direction, I can just talk everybody through it. And by the time we start it to the time we end, it could be a really, really amazing day. So I may come back just as a volunteer. Um, I don't know. Like I said, for the next couple of weeks, few weeks, we're just going to unwind. We're going to reflect on a little bit of what we did, why we did it, and where we want to go, right? That I might have a little bit of say in the direction, just like I had a little bit of say in the decision to end a good thing when I did. Okay, let's just come back in here. Andrew says, same here, Owen. I was one of those kids dashed home from school to watch Dark Shadows. And then Owen says, it was Gilligan's Island. Andrew says, if I could do it over, I would watch less TV, but I was also outdoors a lot and I read a lot of books. I was outdoors a lot too, Andrew. I also read. I was an avid reader just because I didn't have a lot of friends, because I spent a lot of time with myself and I could get lost in my imagination when it came to reading books. It was like my own world, right? A lot of us did that, right? But that's amazing because a lot of the kids these days, they're not reading because, again, YouTube makes it easy for you. Like anything you want to watch, anything you want to know, even like audio books, you could buy a CD and just listen to a book, right? But you still have to use your imagination. I don't know if everybody uses the imagination the same way, where you have an imagination, and if the landscape is the Himalayan mountains and you can see the blue sky and the clouds and the right and the snow and maybe the climbers going up it, right? That if you can imagine that, then right, listening to an audio book will be well, I guess it would be the same way as reading it, but reading it takes a little bit more concentration, whereas audio is more like being entertained, right? It's more like going to a movie and being entertained, whereas reading, you actually have to put a little bit of effort into understanding and visualizing the picture or the story that's being told or trying to be expressed. Oh, Carol Burnett show in my family. Carol Burnett show and Lawrence Welk. Oh my goodness, Lawrence Welk. My parents were into Lawrence Welk, but we had to watch it. Majority rules, right? And so so yeah, I remember these television shows, right? And you'd always and sometimes when I'm at work and at the end of the night, or I'm trying to kick the customers out and stuff. I try to do it friendly. I try to do it in a humorous, kind way, kind of like, get your butt out of here. We've had a long day. Time for us to go home. And sometimes I'll jump into tune and I'll go, I'm so glad we had this time together. And I'll tug on my ear. And everybody just looks at me because they don't get it. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, am I that old? Because that's the way Carol Burnett closed her show every night. She would tug on her ear and she would sing that song, right? But these days, right, I thought Carol Burnett was good enough in reruns. Like she should have been in reruns, just like All in the Family or Gilligan's Island or MASH or some of these great shows out there, because right, Carol Burnett was a great show. They even bring Lawrence Welk back, and her crew, right, were so funny. Yeah, that if I were to go into acting, that would probably be kind of acting, that burlesque kind of style, right? Yeah, I like that. And it would definitely be comedy. I like drama. right? I like the realism. I like a good story that way. I love the tear jerkers. I love sitting on the edge of my seat. But if you can make me laugh, right? That's that's the best. Nothing can compete with a good giggle. I laughed a few times today. I did. I laughed a few times today. I remember. I don't know what I laughed about. Something online that I watched or something, and I just, oh my goodness, that's so cool. That's so funny. That's so amazing. And then, right, that feeling that you get from that, right? And especially if I didn't think it was such an amazing day today. I was pretty dragged out. I was crashing a little bit. I know when I'm crashing, when I just kind of want to disappear from the world. Like, right, that was a lot of stress this week. As much as it was fun and I was grateful to be able to say goodbye to everybody, like I said, it could have blown up in my face in any moment. A bad customer, a bad attitude. It could have been a different story. And because I'm in the mix now, I'm now riding the waves. I am now in cause and effect. So, whatever the cause, right? There's going to be a reaction, and what that reaction is going to be, I don't know. I'm going to practice, right? That mindset, and I'm going to just ride those waves and be as kind as I can. I've only got a few more days, right? And we're going to be on to something new. Maybe not right away, but we'll eventually be on to something new. I do feel that call, that need to just disengage, right? To disengage, to spend a little bit of time with myself. I do believe I'm going to take 2 days a week, totally 100% for myself, if at all possible. Right? I was going to come in live last night because the night before, when I went into my live to watch, because I come into my lives to get the lessons for myself, I noticed that my live show, the sound was all messed up. I don't know what happened, but my video was cut in half the topics were missing, and when my voice, it was crackling, so you couldn't really properly understand me. So I just deleted the video, and I can't have my audience. I don't even understand what I'm saying, but I couldn't get what happened. But then I'm just going to chalk it up to that crazy week that I had. That's just the energy that I'm in right now, and in that cause and effect that I know that I'm in, right? What's my reaction going to be in that? So I just deleted the video, and then I said, okay, well, maybe we'll go live tonight just to make up for that. And I said, no, Cindy, you don't go live on Saturdays, right? Saturdays, right, is your busiest day. Is That's going to change because I just didn't have the energy, because Saturdays was my busiest day at work, but not working there anymore. Well, now I can come back onto the Saturdays and have that energy to put it out there. But what it looks like, I have no idea, right? But do I look like I'm stressing about it? I'm not. Maybe I should be stressing about it and me bad, right? But I'm not. And I wouldn't take any time unless I felt like I needed that time. Let's have a sip of the coffee. Anybody who's out there, you're just coming in and the live show is over and you're just going to put your feet up and just kind of zone out on the conversations that we're having here. I hope your week is going good, right? I understand that lots of people are in the mix of it. I see the change, I see the frustration. I feel, and and it's true, I feel the fear of what people don't know is coming. And, you know, I can't alleviate any of that fear because I myself don't know what's coming. But what I do know is that everything is going to be okay, right? If you, what you think about is realized. So if I'm not looking at the politics, if I'm not looking at the headline news, if I'm not being stressed out at work or agitated at work, if I am not being agitated sometimes, like even today, and taking in some lessons and stuff, and I'm, some of the people that I follow have, well, all the people that I follow have different ideas, right? About life and what we're doing here or what we should be doing, right? And everybody has an opinion, and I'm listening and I'm feeling people out. And lots of times these people that I follow them because I get them, like I feel their heart, I can feel that kindness in them, I feel that comfortability, right? That if we're not the same, we have at least a marginal tolerance for each other, right? But even in the people that I admire and the lessons that I take in consistently from some of these people all the time, and then all of a sudden to be smacked with a different understanding that I'm hearing for the very first time, or I'm experiencing, or I'm feeling for the very first time. And I have to come to terms with that, or I have to have the impressions and my feelings change towards the characters or the content of what I'm taking in. And sometimes that's a little bit nervous too, because we cling to what we know, don't we? We cling to who we know. And I try not to be clingy. It's part of the lesson is just to, right, ride those waves, feel it out. I understand now I'm in cause and effect right now, and you know what? That cause and effect has offered me up chocolates. This is the fancy chocolates. It even had a ribbon on the box. It was so sweet, and handmade little card, and oh, so many potato chips and pound cake and crackers. And I'm just trying to think the Turkish desserts. Oh my goodness, I had twice boxes of donuts. I've had people bring me in coffees. Like, oh my goodness, I'd like so much coffee and not having to buy the coffee. The coffees are just being bought for me. Just so sweet, right? Just really, really sweet. And it makes for a really nice ending to a job that I really did love, that I thought was amazing, that I was very, very, very good at. And I know how good I know what I brought to the table, what I bring to the table, and I know it won't be the same, right? But change is good. And like I said, everything's going to be okay. 100%. And she just might have gotten some good ones, because I've been training replacements and stuff this week, and I think she did a little bit better job in maybe picking out some front end staff that I was able to help out a little bit in getting them ready for, well, for when I'm not there, right? It's not my show anymore. It was never my show, but because of my passion and my love for my job, I did treat it like it was mine, right? So I gotta I gotta keep that in consideration too, right? Um, but yeah, that's interesting to see, Andrew, that if you could do it over again, you would actually choose not to watch as much TV anymore, that you would spend more time outside. I think for me, if I had it all over again, to do over again, I would have been a lot more in my presentation of the arts. I think I would have spent time in choir. I think I would have joined drama class a lot earlier. Um, I would have forced myself to be a little bit more in my stage presence, to be able to be a little bit more professional, right, in how I deliver things, rather than be so casual. For me, casual works. And I think for a lot of people, casual works because you can feel the genuineness, right? So for people who are easily stressed, anxiety, or have complex trauma or trauma, right? Sometimes we just want to feel safe, comfortable, like we belong, and being genuine offers that. So, it's not necessarily that I have to show up being the expert in that, but still in that movement that I make, right? And still always moving forward, right? In the lessons, it just naturally happens, right? So it just naturally happens. Okay, I'm coming down in the comments, you guys. I didn't remember what day Carol Burnett's show was on, that was on Saturday, or what day it was on, but the only one I remember was Monday Night Hockey. Monday night in Canada, I think they called it, or Wednesday night in Canada. Ooh, can't remember. Somebody can help me out in that one. But I remember that's when majority rules, because if the girls, because it was my dad, my mom, and me and my three sisters. So he had a bunch of women, and if the women had the majority on hockey night, there wouldn't be any hockey. So my dad, being the king of his castle, made the exception on that day. So if we wanted to spend time as a family, we'd be watching hockey. And for myself, I watched a lot of hockey, right? Just tried to get excited about the fist fights and stuff. That was my thing, the entertainment of it all. I just wanted to be entertained. And maybe that's why I was the only one in the family. Now I'm thinking about it right now, that I wasn't interested in the video games. It was because I couldn't go that long. I couldn't concentrate that long, that I was too hyper vigilant about my actual physical surroundings, that I couldn't immerse myself in something that I had to like really focus in on. It's probable. It's probable. It's kind of neat that I can see these things now, where even 5, 6 years ago I might not have even noticed them, right? These little hiccups in our life that, right, drag along and come along right into our old age, you guys, right into our old age. Yeah, we'll see, right? If it gets any better or any worse. I don't think it could get any worse. And already I know that it's gotten so much better, right? Just in the notice that I gave in this job that puts the roof over my head, it has been an amazing experience, I have to say. I just gave notice at my job. I've just lost my job. I don't have a job that puts the roof over my head. And yet the way it's playing out is so spectacular. Like, it's really truly, it's mind blowing is what it is, because I've never left a job in this manner before. I don't think so. Right? I've had a couple of places, where those goodbyes at the very last day or something, those wishes, but all week, oh my goodness. And like I said, they're feeding me so much food. I'm just sending it home with everybody. But I'm just so grateful to have had such wonderful friends, right? And that's what they are. I didn't hang out with them. I don't go to movies with them. I don't go hang out at the house, right? We don't talk. Well, we do talk about life. I do share a lot of myself only because the lessons that I serve are through my experiences in life, right? My purpose comes from my pain. And so, just like I said, if I had it all over to do again, I would immerse myself more in the arts so that I could be more on stage, more on point, more professional, right? More polished, right? Because I don't think I'm very polished. I'm very casual. I'm very comfy. I think I'm very comfy. But I don't know. The information is still there. The answers are still there, right? It's just more in layman's term. I don't want to be the person standing up there with a stick on a board. I'm not that person. I just am not. I am somebody comfy to sit at the kitchen table, have a cup of coffee, and get into a conversation and just start untangling wires. It's the way I've always done it. But when it's my time for it to be my time, like after my show tonight, I'm going to go make some dinner. I'm going to make another cup of coffee, get into my lessons. So happy. I just felt awful all day today. Right, trying to get a few chores. Last week I was just popping them off, all getting all this prep done for the big day of my last week and not realizing that my last week, even though it was an amazing week, it still took a lot of energy. It was still very stressful. It was still very, very sad, right? It was a very sad week. And when I come out of this next week, I know I'm probably going to crash pretty hard, right? I'm probably going to sleep in a couple of days, and I'm probably going to be a little bit not on edge, not nervous, but a little bit hyper in what do I want to do with my life. So again, I'll be going into that search mode to see, right? What direction do I want to move in, right? Where am I being pulled? Where's that follow me, right? Give me something to follow. But I do believe I'm being called to take a rest, right? It is time for me to take a little bit of rest, right? We went 2 weeks in September and we moved all through that. And before that, in the prep for that trip, we took that trip. It went at 100 miles an hour and it was just bang, 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 bang. I come back. I went right back to work because my vacation went right almost to the last day before I had to go back to work. And then we've been full time right up till now, physically, emotionally, mentally, right? I'm not done, but I am optimistic that in that little bit of energy that I've spent in the past 6 months or so, that I'll be able to regroup and recoup whatever I've, right, probably put off to the side, but not recognize that there's a little benefit for there because there's just been so much stacked on top of each other that I haven't had a chance to release any of it, right? And so what I'm doing instead is just releasing all of it, put myself into cause and effect, and then just ride the waves only for a week or so. We'll see. We'll see what happens after that. Okay. Um, oh, Andrew, why don't you just pull it up on YouTube? You can pull the movie up on YouTube. The Haunting? I'm sure you can. Let me just check right here. I'm almost 100% that you'll be able to do. I know whatever movie I would want to watch that I could probably pull it up. Uh, is it The Haunting or a Haunting by itself? Let's see. Yeah, watch The Haunting. It's right here. You can sign in. Yeah, it's right there. 1 hour and 52 minutes long. Hugh Crane, industrialist, financed the construction of Hill House. Oh, I remember that movie. That was a good movie. That was a good movie. That was spooky. I haven't watched any movies. I'm not sure if I could watch a spooky movie, right? I think I'm probably a little sensitive to the spookiness in movies now, whereas a kid, I never was. Oh my goodness. I never had nightmares all through my entire life, unless it was a nightmare where somebody in my family was in danger or something. I don't dream very much at all. I haven't for probably decades. But as a teenager, I dreamed all the time. It was my safe zone is going, oh, time to go to bed. I could sleep all night and have amazing dreams. And that's what I did. And I remember I had the most incredible dreams, right? But I never had nightmares growing up. And I think I never had nightmares is because I used to watch the scary movies all the time as a kid, right? Remember Saturday matinee. Lots of times they would be horror movies. I remember at 10 years old, my mother taking me to go see The Exorcist. We were in Reno at the time. My dad was always driving down to Reno and Vegas all the time, but yeah, we went to go see The Exorcist. My mother loved horror movies, right? I saw a lot of them, but I never had nightmares growing up, and I attributed not having nightmares because, well, I watched so many horror movies. Now, in the understandings that I have now, I probably didn't have nightmares because I was already in my nightmare, right? And I probably couldn't dream up anything scarier than what I was in the moment. And I think truly, to be honest, it was probably it. And there's another revelation, two of them in my live show tonight, right? To be able to take them in. But then just in those realization, it's not traumatizing me in any way. It's just kind of like, oh, yeah, figures. Right? Oh, I should have guessed. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. Right? And then on to the next. Okay. Andrew says, I could read just about anything I wanted, but when my father found out I had a copy of The Exorcist, I got a lecture and was told to get rid of the book. Oh, really? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, my dad never censored anything for any of us kids, whatever our, and we had, my dad gave us free choice to an extent. Um, and of course, in that free choice, in that experience of free choice, we could have choose to help out around the house or we could choose not to. Being selfish kids and selfish teenagers, I wish I helped out more than I did, especially with my dad having heart disease and stuff. And even in that honor thy mother and father, I could have done more. I could have washed the dishes after dinner. I could have washed the floors, and we did these on special occasions, but it wasn't something as chores. We got an allowance every week, but that allowance basically was for keeping our bedrooms clean, right? Or bedroom, because we all shared the same bedroom. My dad was always buying these two-bedroom houses, and all his kids lived in the same bedroom, but we never stayed in any house very long. I think the last house with me in high school, my dad kept that house only because he understood that I was having problems, right? That socially I was having issues. And so he wanted in my high school years for me to be able to stay in the same high school. And in that span, we lived in two different houses, but both of those houses were in walking distance to the one school. So I only went to, oh no, I didn't. I went to two high schools. Forgot about the other one. Yeah. I and that high school, I think I went to that high school twice too. But that was in a different city though, right? But I think when I was 15, 16, 17, last 3 years of high school, we stayed in the same high school. So that's when I was actually able to make some long lasting friends. You know, I met my friend Linda, who happened to be my best friend in high school in my senior years. I had a teacher who took some interest in me, and I was able to, join the drama class and be more socially active and more of a participant rather than a spectator in school. Right? It was really, really good decision that my dad made in allowing me to stay in the same high school. It was very perceptive of him to know that I was struggling that way, that was exactly what I needed. And it was, as much as my parents got things wrong, right? They got some amazing, amazing, amazing things right too that my It makes it possible even that I can be just sitting here right now, just being myself and having these conversations and not worry that I'm polished, right? That I've got things exact, that I'm saying the exact perfect thing for the perfect moment that we're in. I'm just going to trust, right? If it's meant to come, it's meant to come, right? And it's going to be just in the moment that I'm playing it. Okay, you guys, we're just going to come in here or we call it a show. I want to make sure I caught all of these. We got one more show and tell, you guys. In the show and tell that we're going to have next Sunday, I tried to think of things that I would need, right, to tie me over, just in case I don't get to thrift stores because I'm only purchasing thrift. I have everything I need, right? I buy my groceries new, so I'm not worried about that. And I've been manifesting, so I made a list of things that I needed. I got my backpack. It was absolutely the filthiest backpack I've ever seen. It even stank like it had some guy's gym shorts in it. But it was filthy. But it was in good shape. And I got it for $4 because it was so filthy. I got it for $4. And you know what? I'm going to throw it in the washing machine all by itself with lots of laundry soap and a cap of bleach, and it's going to come out amazingly clean and fresh, like brand new. I manifested that backpack because there's only a certain backpack that I can have. I can't have anything with a frame. I can't have anything heavy, right? Because I'm going to load that backpack up. So I just wanted a fabric bag, something lightweight that I can go on the trails and be able to have a little bit of weight in there, but that weight being what I choose to go in the bag and not the framing and the heavy materials and the strappings and stuff like that. Um, Also, you guys know that I periodically spill my coffee on my desk. And when I spill it on my desk, I usually burn out my keyboard on my computer. It's something you can tell. I just by the way I'm talking, I do it all the time. I probably did it 3 times this year. Twice I was able to actually take that keyboard and rinse it underneath the kitchen sink. I did. And then I just leaned it up against the wall and put my fan in front of it, and it dried perfectly. But the next time I spilled the coffee on it, and I guess I didn't clean it properly, and the button stuck on me, right? So I had to replace the keyboard. I have a good keyboard here, but I don't have my spare. So I bought a spare keyboard. I bought a spare mouse. These are money and expenses that I can save, right? Because I know I'm going to trash my keyboard. If I trash my keyboard and it's 11 o'clock at night, my favorite show or my favorite thought leader is doing a live or something, that I'm not going to miss it, that I'm not going to have to get on a bus and go all the way out to the thrift store, because that's all I do is I buy thrifted to get a new keyboard. I have my spare, and I'll just go into the walk-in closet, grab my spare, right? So I thought of these things. I also put a tent on that list, not for myself. I have a good tent, but I'm putting a camping package together, like I said. And it would be nice if I could put a tent into that camping package, because then I can maybe tag another $100 onto the camping package, right? So I want to do a camping package next month to put some funds together, right? If possibly I can have an extra month off, or right, if I plan to really go nuts on my brand and push my brand. But the audience and the topics that I talk about, that I have insights on, are not entertaining, right? They're drudgery. They're a little bit uncomfortable, right? I'm not going to get a gazillion views on them. At least not the mindset ones. Maybe my provincial parks at some point. If I get myself a good editor, we'll see about that, right? But these are all plans. These are all things that by my choices I'll be able, right, to make a little bit of movement in if I choose to, right? And I suspect I'm all about moving forward, and I have to be grounded in something. So nothing better than being grounded in something I love. And you guys know I love my YouTube channel. Okay, you guys, let's call it a night here. And I'll be back. I'm not sure, but I will be back. You guys can trust that I will be back. And next Sunday, our last show and tell with this job, it'll be full of things that I need. I'm hoping in the my last two shifts, my new queen size quilt comes in, right? Just like my air conditioner came in. I don't have to worry about the air conditioning this summer. That money is spent at the very least. I'll have a roof over my head and I'll have a nice cool home. It won't be so hot in here that I can't even breathe or I kill my cat, right? From that heat. Wasn't that something about Gene Hackman this week, you guys? Oh, he was one of my favorites when it comes to those actors in those eras. He was so versatile and he could do so many things. And can you imagine how frightened he must have been in that house all by himself for a week, right? Not knowing that his wife was upstairs in the bathroom. He might not even have known that his wife was up there and he was in that house and the door was open. So he might have been wandering out in the front yard and stuff looking for his wife. It's so sad. I really like Gene Hackman, right? But they say that most of us will pass away by ourselves, that we will be alone, right? But I could still imagine how scary he was. Okay, you guys, that's it for this week with this show. I will be back on What's My Good Cheer, but for Chatters Live, we'll see you next Sunday. Last show and tell, you guys. Hopefully, I've got some good goodies going on, trying not to spend a lot of money, but in that idea that it is my last staff charge, I would like it to be a really nice basket, if at all possible. Okay, you guys, have a great night.